being hosted by Jumpstart Refugee Talent. And we have really a great session organized for you today. Most of you will know Jumpstart, but just again, a brief introduction about us. We are a refugee-led nonprofit organization created back in 2016. We focus on the economic empowerment of newly settled refugees in Canada by facilitating both meaningful employment as well as entrepreneurial opportunities. Before we get started, I just want to do a brief land acknowledgement, given that our speakers are today from Toronto. So I'll do the land acknowledgement for Toronto. We acknowledge we're on the unceded territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples and nations. And furthermore, we also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Just as a reminder, Jumpstart has a mandate to support refugees. So we work with folks that have arrived here in Canada as either refugees or applied, for asylum. In terms of your legal status, that isn't really important to us. If you self-identify as a refugee, we will serve you. The idea as well is that you would be eligible or able to work in Canada, that you're currently unemployed or underemployed, and that you're actively seeking employment and entrepreneurial opportunities. And all of our programs are available to refugees regardless of your status. As I said, it doesn't matter what your legal status is, we will serve you. I know many of you are here for entrepreneurship, but just as a reminder, we offer a range of different programming to support you with your economic empowerment that relate to both to employment and entrepreneurship. For example, Welcome Talent Canada, it's our mentorship program. So we would pair you up with a mentor to support you in navigating your career journey, expanding your professional network. We have our employment program, Refugee Talent Hub, that helps accelerate your readiness to get in front of employers, and then provides direct connections with employers to hopefully make it easier for you to secure employment and remove the barriers that typically are in the way. We have a range of events and workshops like we're doing today with subject matter experts that touch on a number of different topics. As you all know, resume is very important, whether you're in entrepreneurship or in employment. So we do provide tailored resume support for all of our clients. For some folks, they may be pursuing credentials, education, or higher education, and having your credentials recognized is important. So we do support you in recognizing your education, and we submit your application, support you all along the way. And lastly, we, of course, provide entrepreneurship support. This is one-on-one support for the time being. We're working on a larger entrepreneurship program. I know some of you are already involved in her startup, but we're working on a new program. It's not in place yet, but for the time being, one-on-one support to any folks who are interested to receive support to start up and grow their business. We can help facilitate connections with different kinds of resources, as we're doing today with the City of Toronto. Wasim Jawad is our Entrepreneurship Program Manager. I'll pass it over to him in just a moment so he could talk to you about the kinds of supports you can receive. And lastly, we have a great session for you today with our guest, Felicity Shirk. She's a small business consultant with Enterprise Toronto, which is with the City of Toronto. Felicity is a small business advisor with Toronto Small Business Enterprise Center. She works one-on-one with clients to provide them with support and resources. And just a little bit about Felicity's background. She holds a certificate in public administration and leadership from Ryerson University, as well as a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Toronto. So without any further ado, I'm now going to pass it over to Wasim so that he can say a few words about Jumpstart's programming.
Thank you, Milaz, and welcome everyone. It's really great to see you and welcoming you in this session. This is part of our entrepreneurship support program, where we bring the subject matter experts or partners to provide advice, resources, or introduction to a large network to support our entrepreneurs. One of the programs ended this summer was the Reinvest, where we bring match those entrepreneurs with angel investors. We support, as Malaz mentioned, we support refugee entrepreneurs in all the phases, from the ideation phase to validate their business model, to build their strategy, to go to the market strategy or financial planning, or even to introduce or to plan for the operation plan, actually. So currently we are presenting a one-to-one support as mentioned, and I'm happy to schedule any call with any one of you, depending on the needs, and also to find any kind of help or support you might need in your phase of the business. I'm passing my contact there. And I don't want to take time from Facility, our partner today. So back to you.
Thank you. And in terms of the plan for today, so after Felicity's presentation, we will hold some Q&A. So feel free to either type your questions into the chat box, or during the Q&A time, you can simply raise your hand and then I can unmute you and you can ask your question to Felicity. So without further ado, let me pass it over to Felicity.
Thanks, Malaz. Okay, thank you so much. I am going to attempt to share my screen. I've got some slides to share with everyone today, and I'm going to get that up on the screen. Okay, let me know, Malaz, are you able to see those slides?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, thanks so much for the welcome. I'm very happy to be here. I see a lot of female entrepreneurs in the virtual room, and very happy to be able to share some information with you about the supports available through the City of Toronto. I work for the City of Toronto as a small business consultant. So what I do is I work as part of a team. Just a moment, I'm just going to mute that noise that I'm hearing in the background. Just one moment, I'm sorry.
Just a quick comment as well, Felicity, as a reminder, because you're the host, I'm no longer the host. So if you see people coming in, just admit them, and because I can no longer do them. Thank you.
Okay, if I see that come in, I will. Thank you for that. All right. So I've got a slide up here, which is an overview of TSBEC. So TSBEC really just stands for Toronto Small Business Enterprise Center. So important thing to note about us is we work with entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. So some of you on today's call, you may not have registered a business yet. You're just considering entrepreneurship. Maybe you have an idea and you want to chat with us about it. We're here to help. So whether you're already running your business or whether you're thinking about a business, we're here to support you. So what do? We currently provide services by both phone and email. So you can connect with us through phone. You can also send us an email. Our email address is smallbusiness@toronto.ca. I'll be putting our phone number and our email into the chat so that everyone can have that to refer to. Because of COVID-19, we're still providing virtual supports to small businesses. So we're not able to have you kind of come into the walk-in centers yet and meet you in person. But we will be offering some in-person services at some point, and we'll be sharing those details on our website and through our newsletter. All right. So we are part of the City of
I think we lost Felicity there. Hopefully she'll, just a weak internet connection and she'll be right back. Just bear with us. It looks like we have lost Felicity. I'm just going to try to give her a call on her phone. So everybody just be a moment. And I guess should be no surprises after all these Zoom meetings over the last few years, things still go wrong. So please bear with us. All right, apologies. So Felicity's going to try joining us by phone, and then I'll be putting our slides up. So we're going to troubleshoot this thing. We're going to make it happen. Just give us some patience there, please. And while we're waiting, Wasim, maybe you could just talk to us a little bit about, some of the entrepreneurs that you've worked with, and some of the types of support that you've given them, whether accessing resources, advising, whatnot. Again, just a reminder to all. We know many of you might not have registered a business. That won't stop Jumpstart from serving you. The great thing, what we heard from City of Toronto, same thing with them. They will serve you, even if you're an aspiring entrepreneur. So really excited about that. Looks like Felicity's coming in. So just give me a second.
Sure. And meanwhile, I posted there the link for the program and grants that City of Toronto is let's say open for application now. Please check that. The deadline is next week, so try to check. And if you have any question, take the chance that Felicity is back here to answer any question about this program.
Okay, all right. I was able to reconnect. I'm not sure what happened. I apologize, everybody. Malaz, I've sent you the presentation as a backup, but I think I'll be okay. So I'm just going to go back to where we left off. Sorry, everyone. We were on our second slide here. So we'll go to the next slide.
So you're the host now. You should be able to share your screen.
Perfect. Okay. All right, everybody, let me know. Are you able to see slide number 3?
Looks good.
Okay, great. All right, so what are the types of programming we offer? So there are 3 different stages here. So one of the things we have is we have the ability to do one-on-one consultation. So we can meet with you one-on-one whether it's discussing a business idea and helping me to validate that idea with you, or whether it's whether you're a little further along in your journey and you have a business plan, that is something you can upload when you book your appointment with us, and we can review that together. We also offer ongoing assistance and, being a sounding board. So let's say you've already had your business plan reviewed, but you want to book an appointment and you want to check in with staff. Maybe you want to talk about some goals that your business is hoping to set, and we can help you to get there. We can help to make recommendations for you, whether it's to an incubator or an accelerator, to kind of get you to the next step. What else do we offer in terms of programming? Well, we have an entrepreneur mentoring program. So for those of us entrepreneurs who have a business plan already and have had a business consultation and taken some training already, they're eligible to be part of our mentorship community. So we have the opportunity for entrepreneurs to connect with one another, while also having access to volunteers who are more experienced mentors who can share guidance. You can set up an appointment with them. There's also the ability to participate in monthly group mentorship events. So that's something that's open to our mentorship members. We also do themed forums and activations at the Small Business Center. For instance, in June, we hosted a women's entrepreneurship forum. So this is something that we'd love to see all of you attend in the future. These events are free to take part in, and we actually notify you about special events and programming that we're doing through a weekly newsletter. So that's something I'll share in the chat. I'm going to provide a link that you can all use to subscribe to our newsletter. So that way, if we're hosting an event, whether it's an Indigenous business event, maybe it's an event for a particular sector or industry, you may be interested in joining us and learning more, hearing from experts, panel discussions, and much more. Another element of our programming includes training and networking. So we've got interactive business boot camps that you can participate in. So maybe you're wanting to understand a little bit more about the different business structures that you may want to set up, or you want to talk about and learn more about some of the legal implications for setting up a business. We've got courses that are designed for beginners, and also courses that help you to refine certain skills. So maybe it's marketing planning, maybe it is financial management. So, making sure that you're planning your cash flow, looking at forecasting revenue and sales. We have some specific courses that can help you for those topics as well. It's COVID-19. We've had, the last 2 years, we've had to do a lot of events virtually. So we're continuing to offer our training and forums virtually this year. But for next year, we hope to be able to do some large scale in-person events to give people a chance to meet each other again, be face-to-face, have some time to mix and mingle. So we're going to be hosting a small business forum in October of next year. It's one of our signature events. We've already begun planning for that. So that is an exciting element of next year's programming. So I'm going to go on to the next slide. Okay, so the City of Toronto has many different incubators and accelerators depending on what industry you might be a part of. So when you connect with our Small Business Center, we can make recommendations to you. We can let you know about the incubators that exist within your industry. And we have some great information on our website in terms of sector support. So a little bit about that on the slide here. There's over 50 different incubators that function in the Toronto area. So there's usually an incubator that might be a great fit for the business that you're running, whether it's helping you to grow or helping you to actually form that business in the beginning stages. All right, so a little flow chart here. I talked earlier about how we have basic training, which is focusing on those who are beginning a business. And then we have expertise-specific training where we focus on certain topics. We work with a lot of great presenters who, deliver these business webinars on our behalf. So whether you want to learn more about taxation, or you're incorporated and you want to know what your obligations are versus being a sole proprietor, we have courses that can assist you there. So you'll be able to find that on our website, and I'm going to provide you that webpage in the chat as well. All right, so Toronto Small Business Enterprise Center Online. This is what our homepage looks like. So up on the screen, under New Business and Startups, we've got a photo here. And below that, you'd be able to access these hyperlinks depending on what you need. So whether you're starting a business, you'd be able to click right here and see a step-by-step guide. Maybe you're looking to learn more about funding opportunities. We've got space on our page for that as well. Maybe your business requires specific regulatory or licensing because of the trade you're in or the nature of your business. We have an area where you can check what type of licenses are required for your business type. We also have, of course, our online training page, and that's under training and support. So contact info is always over on the right. You can give us a call at 392-6646 between 8:30 and 4:30. So if you want to talk to a staff member, there'll be someone there to answer your simple inquiries, maybe point you into the right direction and give you some more information on how you can connect with us. We're also available on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube under the handle Business TO. All right, so, what are some of the issues that come up when clients are meeting with us? We often take a look at business ideas, but we can contrast those with business opportunities. So what is a business idea? A business idea has potential to make money. It's not necessarily going to, but it has that potential. So what does a business idea need to have to be promising? It needs to be relevant, right? There needs to be a need that's fulfilling in the market, whether it's something the consumer needs, whether you've done some research and identified that your business idea is relevant to the current climate. Maybe you're using an innovative new method. Maybe it's a new technology that your business idea proposes. It's unique. You have a unique value proposition. So you're offering something a little different than the competition. So you've researched the competition, you know what they are offering, but how can you deliver things a little bit differently? What makes you unique? And why does this business need to exist? Another characteristic of a promising business idea is that it's profitable in the long run. When we're running a business, we may not be profitable for the first few years. We may just be breaking even. It takes time to generate that income as an entrepreneur, and it can be a big step to go out and be setting up a business that you're going to be using to support yourself or maybe a family. Next, we talk about what a business opportunity is. So business opportunity is a little bit different in that a business opportunity is a proven idea that generates income. So a business opportunity means that you've tested this idea in the market, that you've done that market research to identify that there is going to be income generated through this business opportunity. Business opportunity has to meet certain criteria, including, high gross margins, the startup capital. So we have to be realistic in terms of the startup funds that you'll need. Is it something within the range that you actually have? So is it realistic? Is the startup cost aligning with your savings or the money that you've brought together to be able to set up and start this business? Do you have the ability and experience to make the business a success? So is it an industry that you have particular experience in, or maybe you have special skills or training? Maybe you have that hands-on experience that you've been working in the industry for many years, and you decide you want to be that entrepreneur. You want to be able to make the decisions and run your own company rather than working for someone else. High level of enthusiasm, of course. I think that passion for your industry is what drives entrepreneurship. It takes you through all the tough moments, maintaining that passion and that energy. Sometimes you're running a business by yourself, so it can be tough to motivate yourself. That's why it's important to look to mentors and networks so that you're not in this alone. A desire for ongoing learning and self-development. So whether that's learning about new technologies, being open to attending conferences, building your skills, learning from others, meeting with your mentor, taking advice from them, putting into place those steps and habits that can make your business sustainable. Okay, so there's different ways to evaluate your business idea. I talked earlier about market research. So, when we have this idea, we need to think about what is missing in the market. Is it a product that you've developed that doesn't exist anywhere else? Or maybe it exists, but it's not readily available here in Canada. So really it's about the why. Why are we creating this business? Why does your product or service need to exist? What's missing out there? What are the competitors not doing well? And what can you do better? We need to also define how our business will operate, right? Is it a virtual business? Are we needing to rent a space? When we're planning for our startup costs, this is all very important to decide, are we going to have employees or are we going to have, independent contractors? Is there a market for our idea? Who is our ideal customer, right? It's not everyone. We have to define our ideal customer, whether it's they belong to a certain age group, maybe they're into certain hobbies, maybe they live in a particular part of Toronto. If we're running a restaurant, we really want to make sure that we've put our brick and mortar restaurant in an area of the city where we know that there is a lot of potential customers who would enjoy that particular type of food, or the prices that we set at our restaurant would be in line with the income that people have in that general area. We talked about researching both our direct and indirect competition. So assessing our competitors, figuring out their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And also identifying the partners that we would work with, whether it's suppliers, whether it's other companies that offer complementary products or service. Maybe it's our team. We have an advisor that we're working with. Maybe it's a lawyer and an accountant. Building the team of people around you is so important. Finances is important as well, right? You need to identify how much money you will actually need to start up this business, so that if you're thinking about taking a business loan, you have a realistic idea of how much you're looking for. You have to have an idea of how to price your product or service. How much is your time worth? If it's a service, if it's a product, if there's raw materials involved, we need to figure out how we can turn a profit on our item while still covering all of our operating expenses. And how long will it actually take to make a profit? There's cash flow templates that you can use to sort of forecast your business for the next few years, and that can help you to identify when you will be profitable. Protection of the idea is sometimes something you'll need to consider, whether it's intellectual property, maybe it's trademarking, depending on the nature of your product or service, intellectual property might be something to consider. Okay, so when we talk about market research, we think about different things. What's the size of the market? What are some of the trends that are happening there? And who are the players? Who are the different partners involved? Who are the big companies? There's different business databases that you can use to access information. You can reach out to networks and associations. When we're analyzing our market, it allows us to have a better idea of who our customers are and have more information about them. That will help us determine pricing. We want to assess our competitors' weaknesses. So when I mentioned SWOT analysis, that means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you want to take a look at what is the competitor doing well? What are they doing not so well? Where is there an opportunity for your business to come in? And what are some of those threats to, maybe it's the industry, maybe it's an environmental threat, maybe it's a customer behavior type of threat. There's different things to consider there. In terms of our market research, there's two different steps here. There's your primary market research and your secondary market research. So market research is a big part of setting up a business, and it's something that the Small Business Center can help out with. We also have some courses that focus on market research. Okay, all right. Okay, so we talked earlier about how finances are really important. A lot of times entrepreneurs that we meet with may not have identified all of their startup or operating costs. So we want to think about our own cost of living, right? We have personal expenses to cover. Is the business going to be able to support that? Or is it going to take some time for the business to become profitable? Do we have another way that we're supporting ourselves? Maybe we're working somewhere else part-time, or maybe we're entering into our business with a partner so that we both have that additional person that can kind of take on some of the brunt of the stress and the expenses of the business. Some businesses require a monthly fee for renting a space. Some businesses may need to rent space as needed. So these are all things you want to consider. Special equipment, whether it be technology, maybe it's tools, maybe it is renovation costs of your space. If you're doing cleaning or window washing, you need to have all those cleaning supplies. You need to have all these different tools, and that can cost money to just build up what you need to even start the business. Telecommunications, right? How do we communicate with customers, whether it's an email account, whether it's a virtual platform like Zoom? There's fees involved with, all of these telecommunications programs. Sometimes licenses, permits, or fees are required, right? If you run a restaurant, you need a special license from the City of Toronto before you can open to the public. So that's an additional cost that a restaurant needs to take on. Business insurance, every business should have commercial liability insurance. Some business types have more risk than others. So your insurance premiums, so what you'd be paying every year or every month, could be higher if you're more in that high risk category. Some of your particular industries might require an annual fee just to become in good standing. So if you're running your own accounting firm or you're a registered massage therapist, there are fees that go along with, maintaining your certification there. Training of teams, bringing on staff, these are things to consider as well. Okay, so, when we think about funding our startup, 60% of the funding for a small business is usually coming from the entrepreneur themselves. And that's either maybe they've taken on a personal loan or a line of credit, or they're using their personal assets. Maybe they have some savings, maybe they have support from friends and family who are willing to invest into their business. They see this as an opportunity and they're trusting the entrepreneur. So they're willing to put some support into your business. Sometimes there are grants available. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But sometimes there are grants available from private organizations. So sometimes Instagram has done a small business grant, or sometimes some of the female entrepreneurial associations, they may have a competition or a grant available from time to time. So business competitions could be another way. Crowdfunding, angel investors, venture capitalists. These are different options. Sometimes investors are looking for certain types of businesses at certain times, depending on the trends in the market. They may be very interested in tech this year, but a few years down the road, maybe they'd be more interested in those in the food and manufacturing sector. So, the climate for investors can change over time. There's information on our website under funding for small business, where you can see lists of angel investors and some of the other options for funding, including Futurepreneur, who works with youth entrepreneurs, and the BDC, which is the Business Development Bank of Canada. Many entrepreneurs also reach out to their financial institution that they're working with currently in hopes of maybe securing a business loan. Okay, so an important element of starting any business is deciding on a business structure. There are different options, and they are outlined here on the slide. If you're running a business on your own as one person, you could choose to register as a sole proprietor. So this is the most simplistic form of registration. It involves getting an Ontario master business license, where you register the name to yourself personally, and it's good for up to 5 years. So it costs about $60 to set up a sole proprietor. And it's often the structure that many entrepreneurs start out with, because it is a very simple way of creating your own company. If you have a group of people that want to form a company together, rather than a sole proprietor, you could do a general partnership between yourself and up to 10 others. So 10 people in total would form a general partnership. It can be as small as 2, as big as 10. Your other option for forming a company is to incorporate. You can incorporate federally or provincially. So when we think about a company name that ends in INC, CORP, or LTD, that means that that company has taken on a corporate structure. Maybe they're a numbered company. So this is a business structure that some entrepreneurs choose to take on, or some entrepreneurs start out as a sole proprietor or a general partnership and move into incorporation. It might make sense for them business-wise. It might make sense for them from an accounting perspective. It's often something that you want to talk to your bookkeeper or accountant about, if you have one, and determine when the right time for you might be. We also have a session that can help make that decision easier for you through our Enterprise Toronto Legal Bootcamp. It helps identify the pros and cons of these different business structures. All right, another thing that the Small Business Center can help support you in is your business planning process. So once we've validated our idea and we have tested that, and we see that there is a viable business opportunity, we can create our business plan. A bit of an overview of the things that are included in a business plan are listed here. It always starts out with an executive summary. You want to describe who your business is and what it is that you do. You want to also include elements of your market research right in that business plan. So you've done all this work, you've taken a look at the industry you're in, you've assessed your competitors, and those are the things that you want to include in your business plan under market analysis. Of course, you want to talk about the organization and management. If you have employees and a team, what is everyone's role? Who reports to who? Almost like an organizational chart. Of course, you want to outline what services and products do you offer and how much are they priced at. So if you're a store and you're selling, 3 different types of bicycles, you want to list what those are and what they're priced at. If you're offering a service, maybe you're a consultant and you're planning on having different packages. So, you offer a certain amount of different activities that your customers can receive by buying package A or package B. Or maybe you charge by the hour and you want to identify that in your business plan as well. Your marketing and sales. So how are you going to approach marketing? What activities are you going to utilize to let people know about your company? Are you going to use your website? Are you going to use social media? Do you have business cards? Are you doing signage? Maybe you're going to identify a certain neighborhood and you're going to do flyers there. So what are the different tactics that you're going to use to both market the business and generate sales? In terms of the funding demand, we want to think about how much you're going to need in terms of financing. So you want to identify, what is your total startup costs, or what do you need to be able to start this business? If you're applying for a loan with one of the large banks, they're going to want to see your business plan. They're going to want you to identify how much funding you're looking for. And they're also going to want to go through the entire plan. And it needs to be something that meets their approval. They need to kind of be able to have that trust that the business that you're planning will be able to generate a profit. And if you're taking on a loan, that you'll be able to pay back that loan. Your financial projections are important because it's there that you identify potential revenue, you identify and you project sales month by month. So it's important to be able to not just talk about the funding you need to start, but identify how the business will be generating revenue over the next few years. An appendix is something where you can include additional information. So maybe it's photos of your actual product, or maybe there is some additional information that's very visual, maybe it's graphics, things that you want to include in your appendix. A business plan doesn't necessarily have to be long. I've seen great business plans that are, 8 pages long and have lots of info. They're concise and they're clear. Some business plans are longer, they could be 20 pages, but there's a really great template to use. Futurepreneur has a really great business tool. It's a business plan writer tool that's available on their website, and it's a free tool. We often let our clients know about that, and it's really been helpful for them in terms of putting together a business plan, because we know it's hard to just start a template from scratch or to know everything that needs to be included. The Futurepreneur template also provides samples and examples so that you're not stuck on what information needs to go under each heading. I talked earlier about what happens in a one-on-one consultation. So we can review your business plan. We can talk with you about regulation and licensing issues. We can make recommendations to you. We book half-hour appointments, and these are complimentary service. So I'm going to let you know how you can visit our website, and if you felt that you wanted to do a one-on-one consultation with our team, that's something that you could book. There are 4 of us on the team. It's not just me on my own, and we work with all businesses in Toronto. So no matter where your business is, whether you have registered your business or you haven't done that yet, you can certainly book a call with us, and we can talk about your business idea or talk about the questions that you have. And then we usually send a follow-up message to you. So, depending on what's discussed in the call, the consultant will make some recommendations and they'll send out some follow-up material to you, so you have something to refer back to. So, in terms of reaching out to us, I'll put this in the chat as well, but our website is toronto.ca, right-facing/Enterprise Toronto. We're available by telephone between Monday and Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, 416-392-6646, and via email, smallbusiness@toronto.ca. So I am going to be including some information in the chat. This slide just lets you know where our centers are actually located. So we do have 2 business centers. They're currently closed to the public, but for future reference, we're located at North York Civic Center at 5100 Yonge on the main floor. So if you've ever visited the North York Civic Center, you will find us there. We're also at the Scarborough Civic Center. That's 150 Borough Drive. That's at McCowan in the 401 area, for those of you that might be living in Scarborough. So again, virtual services for now, but that will change in 2023. We have a newsletter that we use to connect with our clients and to share information. So if the business center is going to open to the public, we're going to let you know in the newsletter. We have a business TO newsletter that comes out every Tuesday, and I'm going to share with everyone in the chat a link you can use to subscribe. So what I'm going to do is I have a few more slides to share about an opportunity that's being offered currently at the Small Business Center. It's a starter company grant, and it's a female founders stream. So I'm going to share some different slides with you now about that grant program. Okay. All right, let me know if you're able to see the slide on the right, okay, great. All right, so I know that many of you, or some of you on the call, might already be running a business. So we're going to talk about a program opportunity for those who have been running their business for at least 6 months. Okay, so I talked earlier about how the Small Business Center gets funding from the province of Ontario. So one of the main ways we support entrepreneurs through that funding is through our Starter Company Grant Program. So this is a program that is aimed at entrepreneurs who wanting to grow their existing business. It provides a one-time grant payment of $5,000. It provides one-on-one guidance and assistance. If you're successful in the program, you would be receiving one-on-one support from a business coach, and you'd also be part of a cohort of other entrepreneurs who are going through the program, and you'd be learning as a group business fundamentals. There's 10 different modules that you'd be going through with the trainer. You would also have access to our mentoring platform, and the training that would be provided would be applicable to all sectors and industries. So our Starter Company program accepts a wide variety of business types and business models into it. Important details about the program, okay? We offer the program in different streams throughout the year, and our current stream is open and is currently accepting applications. It's our Female Founders Program stream. I've got some points up on the slide here, which are important. There are 29 grant spots available for this program. Applications have been open since October 3rd, and we're still accepting applications into this program up until Monday, October the 17th at 11:59 p.m. So there's still time to apply for this program if you feel like you're eligible. If you're selected to move forward in the program, you'd be contacted by the end of October, and you would be put into a training cohort, which would take place over a few dates in November. The training would be happening virtually. We still haven't gotten the okay to kind of bring everyone together in person. Future Starter Company grant programs will be offered. So like in June of next year, we'll be offering a different stream of the program, which is open to both male and female founders. And that's our general business program stream. So, you know, that's something that will be offered in the future. Our newsletter will contain details about it. We always host an info session before our grant programs come out. So if you're not eligible for this program, or if you're not far along yet in your business, you may want to consider the potential of, you know, the Starter Company program down the road. I'm going to go through the eligibility for you so that you can see what is required to apply for the program at this point. Okay, so this is just a little bit about the application, so I will skip through that. You know, in terms of applying to the program, part of the training involves creating a mini business plan. So it doesn't have to be a very long document, but there will be some assignments that are required to be turned in at the end of your training. And you get all the supports that that is needed to be able to successfully complete this program through the training. So it's important to kind of note what the program requirements are for the applicant. There are applicant requirements and then there are business requirements. So we're going to look at the applicant requirements first. You need to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. For this particular program, it is a female founder stream. So you have to be female or female identifying. Okay. You need to be a full-time entrepreneur. So you need to be working 35 hours a week at minimum on the business. And we're looking for those who aren't employed full-time somewhere else. So basically, this is a program aimed at entrepreneurs who are, for them, their business is their main source of income. Not enrolled in other government funding employment programs. You can't have received a starter company grant before. So maybe you've run a business in the past and you've already gotten a starter company grant from the province of Ontario. You can't receive the grant a second time. So that's important to note as well. You need to be a resident of the city of Toronto. So you need to demonstrate that you have a Toronto address that you live at and be 18 years of age or older. You can't be attending school full-time or planning to return to school while enrolled in the grant program. So those are some of the requirements for the applicant. Requirements for the business are up here next. We're looking for businesses that are registered, okay? So you're further along, you've been running the business for at least 6 months. You could be registered as a sole proprietor, a general partnership, or a corporation. All of those structures are permitted. You need to also have a commercial bank account in place. You need to be, if you're applying on behalf of a corporation, you need to be the majority shareholder. If your business has a physical location, let's say you're running a shop, let's say you have a restaurant, your physical location of the business has to be in Toronto. If you have a virtual business, your business needs to be registered to a Toronto address. We also want to make sure you're current, right, in terms of your certification or license. So if you're opening up a hair salon, we want to know that you have the City of Toronto hair salon license because that business type requires it. So we want to make sure that the business is meeting all of its certification requirements as well. Important to note, your business has to have been running for 6 months at least at the time of application. So it could be, your business could be running for more than 6 months. That's also okay, but 6 months is our minimum. So if your business is newer than that, this won't be a program for you at this time, but it's something to consider for the future because like we do offer it a couple of times each year. So there's, if the opportunity isn't a fit for you right now, it could be in the future. We look for businesses to demonstrate that they've already invested funds into their business, whether it's startup costs, whether it's regular operating costs. You just need to just demonstrate to us that you've invested $1,250 into the business because that's 25% of the grant amount. So we're talking about a grant of $5,000, $1,250 is a quarter of that. You want to be able to commit to the business training. So you want to be available to attend virtual training. That's something we look for because the training component of the program is mandatory. And I mentioned this earlier, but you can't have already received a starter company grant. So whether you received a starter company female founders grant or a general program grant, it's all the same funding. It's all funded by the province. The starter company umbrella has different streams, and we want to make sure that we're helping as many new businesses as possible. So someone who got the grant once, you know, we want to make sure that that funding is shared among everyone. So someone who hasn't got the opportunity yet can be considered. Okay, we do have some excluded business types for the grant program. These are, you know, keeping in line with other other provincial small business centers. Some of the major ones that we sometimes have questions on are highlighted here. So let's say you have a technology app and you want to apply for the grant. Your app has to be market ready. Your app has to be available, whether it's in the App Store. You know, if you've developed a product, your product has to be in market. So it's not the type of grant where you could get funds for your app that isn't yet available. Charities and nonprofits, as well as social enterprise, aren't eligible for this program. Social enterprise, nonprofits, they can access different sources of funding through the government. So we recognize that, and our nonprofits are to kind of go to those other sources. This is a program designed for entrepreneurs who are wanting to generate a profit for themselves, to support a family. So that's an important one to note. Another important note is that franchises aren't permitted to apply to the program. So let's say you have an A&W franchise that you're running. Because of that type of agreement that you have with A&W, you know, they're there to support you in certain activities, helping you with marketing, you know, brand awareness, whereas someone running an independent restaurant, they don't have access to that kind of built-in support. So our program is not for those who are a franchise. Medical marijuana, cannabis retailers are not eligible to apply. There's a lot of regulatory pieces to that business type that the City of Toronto Small Business Centre, we're not able to always verify those details. So those types of retailers are excluded. You can have an online business and be eligible for this program. Online businesses are considered. Resellers are not something we want to see in the program. So think about like an Amazon reseller type model. If you're selling a product online, you know, there needs to be a uniqueness to it. Maybe you've manufactured and designed and created that product yourself. Or maybe you're an online consultant, right? Many business types don't require a brick and mortar location. So we do consider online business as well as brick and mortar. And I can take questions, you know, about specific business types or questions about exclusions. You know, generally when we think about the way that a grant should be used, I've got a chart here kind of indicating good use of grant funds on the left versus a poor use of grant funds on the right. So let's say you were successful in receiving the grant. You can't use that grant to purchase like a vehicle for your business. Or if you use a personal vehicle for work, we can't kind of support those expenses like mileage or, you know, maintenance on the car. We also don't want to support essential or required equipment to start the business. The idea is that you've already been running for 6 months. So you have inventory, you have the tools that are required to actually run the business. We're happy to help support elevated equipment, something additional, but we want to make sure you have the minimum equipment required for your business type. So your business is able to function whether you get the grant or not. A personal salary isn't something the grant can pay for. Some entrepreneurs choose to pay themselves a salary. Others might just invest things back into the business. If you're paying a salary to yourself, this isn't something you can use the grant funds towards. If you have other loans you're repaying, you also can't use the grant funds to pay those back, even if it's a business loan. You know, we don't want to see the grant funds being used to pay another loan. Personal rent, this is another thing you can't use the grant funds on, and past debt. So maybe you have a credit card payment, maybe you have a student loan or something that's outstanding. Grant funds cannot be used in that way. We want to see you using the grant funds to invest right back into your business. So maybe it's marketing. You're wanting to do some additional digital marketing. Maybe you want to bring on a consultant to create a campaign to bring awareness to your brand. Maybe you want to hire someone, whether it's a part-time person or a full-time person. You want to use it towards obtaining some commercial office space. Maybe you need to rent a commercial kitchen for your business, or maybe you are looking to rent some studio space. You're a photographer and you might need some monthly space or a few days per week, that kind of thing. Inventory is something as well. Social media, digital marketing, there's different marketing types, right? PR advertising. So maybe you have a publicist that you want to bring on, or maybe there is some additional work that you could do to kind of raise awareness, to bring people to your website, to let people know more about you. Those things usually have costs associated with it, and the grant funds can help you with those kinds of activities. Okay, so that kind of takes me to the end of the presentation. I hope we have a bit of time for some questions, and I know that I will be happy to kind of answer those. I know that Malak's going to moderate, and I'd be happy to take any questions that we have, whether it's in the chat or someone might have a question that they'd like to ask. Whether it's a grant program question or about anything that I spoke of earlier about our supports. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Felicity.